You're shopping at your local Target, and as you're checking out, you see a display of card games. You see things like baseball cards, Pokemon, and you happen to see something called Magic the Gathering. At first glance, you're curious. You see a whole plethora of product. You see beautiful art pieces. You're reading some of the cards on the front of the boxes, and they're saying all these things, and you want to look it up. When you get home, you look up Magic the Gathering, and you are just... And as you're being bombarded with all this information, you decide to narrow down your search and look up, how do I play Magic the Gathering? As you look through some of the articles, you're told that you can go to something called a local game store, and you could just sit down and play with whoever. So you get back in your car, or your mom's car, and you drive over to this local game store. You walk inside and the shop owner greets you. You walk up to him and you say, hey, I want to play Magic the Gathering. And he asks you the question, what format are you looking to get into? And once again, you're like, you have no idea what that means, so you just look him in the eyes and say, the Gathering kind. He goes ahead and explains to you the most common formats in Magic being Standard, Modern, and Commander. With Standard, you make a 60 card deck out of the most recent sets that Magic has released. Modern is pretty much exactly the same as Standard, except you can use any set from Magic's history all the way back to Mirrodin, a set from October 2nd, 2003. And then finally you have Commander, a multiplayer format where you have a 100 card deck and a legendary creature card that the whole deck is themed off of. There are a lot more rules to Commander than that, but I'm just trying to keep it simple. These three formats are the poster children for Magic. They're the three formats that make Wizards of the Coast the most money and are also the easiest to introduce to new players. Now for the context of this video, let's just go and say maybe you're not really that interested in playing Commander because it's a multiplayer format and you don't have any friends. So naturally you ask the shopkeep, okay, I'll have one standard deck, please. And then he just looks at you in confusion because that's not how that works. He goes on to explain that any Magic format is a little bit of an investment. The shopkeeper then says, oh, you want to play Standard? Okay, perfect. That will be $100 for 4 Goldspan Dragons. You look down at the glass case of cards in front of you and you see the Goldspan Dragon. You think to yourself, 4 copies? I thought you just said a deck with 60 cards. The shopkeeper laughs and said, oh, of course, you do need 60 cards. That would be $400 for Jeskai control. What? And now you're like, what the fuck is a Jeskai? You then say, man, that's a little steep for something that I have no idea if I'm even gonna like. I don't know what these cards do. What is a Grixis? How about Modern? What's Modern like? The shopkeeper freezes, stares you dead in the eye. And as both of you gaze upon each other's souls, a grin starts to stretch across his face. And you begin to hear...
You can't afford Standard? And you want to try Modern?
You slowly begin to step away from the counter as you dial 911 on your phone. You panic and tell the shopkeep, please stop laughing at me. I don't have any money, but I want to play Magic the Gathering. These formats you're telling me about are extremely expensive. Is there any other format that I could play? The shopkeep stops laughing and looks at you and says, you know, I think I do have a good option for you. Welcome to Pauper. Pauper is a Magic the Gathering format where you make a 60 card deck and you can use any card from all of Magic's history, all the way back to when Magic was very first conceived. Your only restriction for this format is that it is commons only. Magic the Gathering cards come in 4 different levels of rarity: common, uncommon, rare, and mythic. When you open a fresh sealed box of 100 packs of Magic the Gathering cards, you are lucky to get 3 mythics in a box. And when those mythics are really good and in really high demand, they become very expensive very quickly. And when a new really strong mythic does hit rotation, it affects all of the formats. You have hundreds upon thousands of players across the nation, across the world, hunting down this card that's hard to find. But in the same vein, when you open up a box of boosters, every single booster pack comes with 10 commons in it. And because commons are so oversaturated and plentiful, getting a playset of commons for a deck might cost you 25 cents? $1 if you're feeling fancy? Pauper is an extremely affordable MTG format, and all of your favorite decks in some of the big expensive formats are also in Pauper. $600 Modern Affinity, $57 in Pauper. $150 Boros Aggro in Standard, $45 in Pauper. $500 Esper Midrange and Standard, $40 in Pauper. 1,229 Rakdos Midrange and Modern, $50 in Pauper. $700 Mono Green Tron in Modern, $30 in Pauper. The current best deck in Standard, Jeskai Control, for $360, $35 in Pauper. The current best deck in Modern, Is It Murktide Regent for $1,210. Is It Fairies for $60, $65 in Pauper. Every deck that you can find in Modern and Standard, you can find in Pauper for like 50th the price. Now, some of you might be asking, is Pauper's value only because it's cheap? No, not at all. Even if you do have money to shell out for Modern and Standard, which you can do because those formats are fun, you should still play Pauper. If you do have a lot of money, all that means is that you can buy a bunch of Pauper decks, bring them to your local game store, and introduce people to the format because you have expandable decks that you could just let people use and play with. You can invite friends that might not even know what Magic is to just come and play because it's Pauper and it's fun. With all of that being said, I am Paper Pauper Player, and welcome to the new definitive Pauper MTG YouTube channel. Not sponsored, not sponsored, by the way. I'm a channel that will never see the light of being sponsored by Wizards because the point of my channel is to not buy their direct products. The point of my channel is to go to your local game store and harass the owner to pull out their 10,000 bulk commons so you can build budget goblins. But in all seriousness, the point of this channel is I'm going to be taking decks, whether they be ones I just pulled off the internet or ones I made myself. I'm going to be ordering them and unboxing them here on the channel. And then while I'm unboxing the cards, I'm going to be talking about what the deck does and the strategy behind it and whatnot, so that you can make a decision if you want to buy the deck yourself, so that you can go play it at your local game store. And the additional content on the channel will be reviewing sets that are coming up for Magic the Gathering, and then we'll be talking about what commons I think will be good for Pauper and what decks you can make out of the commons are coming from those new sets. There's plenty of content to be made, so if you are interested in Pauper or you do enjoy Pauper, please press the subscribe button down below and make sure to hit that bell so you know when I upload. And speaking of uploads, alongside with this video, I'm also uploading my first deck unboxing of Mono Black Control, a staple in Pauper, a really fun deck that you guys can check out on the video linked below. And as a side note, I do have another channel where I do gaming content, where I play games and I tell stories on stream and I do tier list videos. All that will be linked down below as well. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.